What is going on, everybody? I hope you missed us as much as we missed you. It's going to be Septilence and Jag back at it for the fourth and final game of the evening here on day one of the Valorant season in NECC.
Absolutely. Season 0. It's been a great day already. 3 amazing matches. I heard that first one's pretty cool. Go check it out in a VOD later on if you haven't seen it yet. Obviously, the 2 after it were as well very great. But here we've got Montclair State going up against Sacramento State's Hornets Gold, also known as Sacramento State 2. They've got a team in the division up, but this is going to be challengers, that second division out of 3. And we already had a great matchup earlier on from teams that are around that plat gold level, so I'm expecting great things this time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 1 earlier today, if you weren't here with us, it literally came down to the wire in both matchups. I think the final score was 13-10 both times. And then we literally got, there was a reverse sweep in the first map. It went from 8-0, and that team being in the lead actually losing 13-10. And then we just saw an absolute phenomenal performance coming out from Becker earlier today. So I'm really excited to see. We got brand new teams coming out, all obviously 10 new players. And I think our first map is split, right?
It is split, yes. This was the choice of Montclair State. They banned Icebox. Sacramento State, they banned Haven. Sacramento State, they chose Ascent. So we know that's going to be our second map. And our third map will be Bind if we go to tiebreaker. But yeah, we're going to see split for the first time today, at least between the two of us. Before we get into that map, I just want to give you a little bit of background information on these teams and how they did in those preseason placements. Montclair, they went 1-3. But one thing to note is that one of their losses was actually a forfeit loss. So really, they're more like 1-2. And on the other end, Sacramento State 2, they went 1-1, so they had less games, less chances to lose, but still, neither of them going even. And going back to split really quickly, this is a map that's always been defensive sided, so I'm not surprised that Sacramento State 2 chose to go defense. But there's been a lot of changes as of late that have kind of turned the table, so it's a little bit less defensive sided.
Yeah, I'm also kind of surprised that all of the teams we've cast in this general part of the tournament all have negative win-loss ratios. So I'm really starting to wonder, where are the teams that have the positive ones? Because so far, all of these teams have, either they've broken even or they're at negative. So I've just found that's kind of an unusual thing to happen.
They're probably like you said, in the upper division.
Yeah, fair enough on that. But one of these, but you mentioned already, one of these teams is 1-3, technically 1-2. And while that may be a single game difference, 1-2 is notably better than 1-3, because you could very easily make that 2-2 and be back to breaking even. So it's definitely something to watch out for as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just waiting on the lobby to get started up. One thing to note, I think that's really interesting, is on the side of Montclair, I believe they have an Omi and an Oni. So if you already enjoyed how much fun we had pronouncing names earlier when we were talking about Raze playing Killjoy, that's going to be a tongue twister that we'll have to make sure not to get too confused on. But yeah, like we said, the first map, it's going to be split. And I want to dive in a little bit more about how the map has changed. There have been a lot of locations that have changed. Haven is one of the ones that's changed the most. It's a lot worse now if you're a defender trying to play it there. There's a lot less angles to hide behind. But I think the biggest change is probably to B as a whole. The fact that the garage, alleyway, doorway, whatever you want to call it, the fact that it's longer, it's wider, there's more of a sight line. I think that makes it much harder for attackers to take garage as an attacking point of view. There is a box that they can kind of sit behind, but it's still not enough cover compared to what they used to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game really is all about cover. It's really about just peeking those corners and kind of playing it a little bit slow, using those corners to the best of your ability. And as we said, I feel 100 times earlier today, check your corners, because we saw a lot of that earlier on as people weren't doing that. And there were entire rounds lost because somebody just didn't look to their right or their left. And that's definitely something to look out for here today. Are these players going to be making that same mistake?
Yeah, and I just want to correct myself. It's actually Omi and Oni on the side of Sacramento State, too. So just got to clear that out of the way so I don't get myself a little bit more confused later on. I was looking at Ascent as the first map, but it is split, as we already know. So just got to recalculate that myself. But now we're all on the same page. I'm wondering what other things are going to be really important in this matchup. I think we saw the duelist difference a little bit earlier on, especially not just in play, but in selection. We had one team that really liked running Jet, and they actually were the ones that didn't end up winning. There's another team, they did run Jet eventually, but they had decided to go something a bit earlier on of a different. They went with that Raze, and we saw how impactful Raze can be. And Raze can be really good here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that exact same thing. Raze could do a fantastic job here on split. There's a lot of tight, close corridors, and those grenades can really come in handy, as well as that ultimate that is kind of notorious for getting a lot of eliminations. We didn't see that earlier today, but I think we could see that coming up. And we see Omi right now hovering over Sage, and I think that would be an unusual pick, because we talked a lot earlier today how Sage isn't necessarily falling into that meta, so to speak.
Yeah, she's not as powerful as she used to be, but I think that with the changes to split, her walls can be a lot more impactful, not only just cutting off choke points, but also raising people up, taking high ground. So I don't dislike this. It's going to be interesting to see if it works out for them in the long run. We'll see how that is. But now it's been locked in, so it's set in stone stepped. The other thing that we're going to be looking at, some differences in duelists. We do see the Killjoy coming out for Mitchell, so I think that's a great pick. Smokers are different. That's something that we had consistently in the last matchup, unless, nope, there it is. Oni isn't a lock in the Brimstone. So Brimstone versus Omen. We saw the strengths and weaknesses of both of these smoke-based agents, and I don't know. I feel like actually Brimstone kind of got the better end of the last match we casted.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. We saw like Brimstone versus Omen, like you said earlier. I had said, oh, I think Omen's really going to get the advantage here. I think we're going to see a great lead, and then that didn't happen. I was completely wrong on that. This time, I want to point out we're seeing a breach for the first time today as well. Maybe not anyone who's been watching all day long, but for those of you just watching with us and just Jag and I now being here ourselves, this is the first breach that we've been able to see. And it looks like that's coming from Sacramento. No, that's coming from Montclair's side.
Yep. So we'll see if that breach works out. I mean, it's a great way to get onto points. So there's a big advantage there. You can use your flash, you can use your concussion. There's a lot of crowd control that can come out. But on the other side, I mean, Sage does have some crowd control as well. And she also has that heal orb, which might be beneficial. It's gotten nerfed greatly into the ground. Now it only does about 40 healing, where it used to basically heal an entire person's health bar if it was depleted. So it's going to be the difference maker there, I think, is really those two agents. I mean, there's still two duelists on either side. There's a bit of difference. The Cypher versus the Killjoy. We've talked to the ground about that a lot already, so I don't think it needs to be repeated. But here we go. Round one in this series.
Yeah, round one's going to open up, and while it may not be, the round to end all rounds, it's still a very important one. You want to get as many points as possible just in order to make sure that you're able to buy in the next round. We're going to see Riggs flying into this point here, trying to find a plant early on. That's going to be an immediate plant from the spike now out point A. We're going to see Swoldominus Rex able to find an elimination onto Mitchell, but Astru and Oni going to be eliminated respectively as well. Montclair now up in terms of numbers. It's going to be a 4v2, and the Rays on the side of Sacramento is definitely critical already. Reyna able to pick up a single elimination, but Mitchell able to find a kill off the back of it. It's going to be a 3v1. This player living at, 33 health and a dream with this pistol. It is a winnable scenario, but it would have to be a 1 in a million play.
Yeah, and you already use your grenade. All you got is your blast pipe to jump onto point, jump into a hailstorm of bullets, and Flumi is going to get the last kill there. I think the biggest play there was really how much that Reyna was fragging out for Montclair at the end. Divine doing a great job. I think they got 3 kills at the end of that round. Yep, 3 kills. So that's a great way to start things off for the duels. Reyna, feast or famine. She starts off hot. She can continue to be hot later on. Mitchell had some great plays. He was able to get 2 kills of their own there, but it wasn't enough. The rest of the team really is a step up for Sacramento State too, but it is early on. So there's still a lot of game to be played. I really want to see, in particular, Mitchell take advantage of high ground with the Rays, be able to throw her blast pack and grenade in, get a lot of spam damage. That'll really help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And as these gates open back up, I think I agree that I need to see a little bit more from Sacramento. They played, a little bit aggressive, but they kind of just immediately gave up on that aggression. We saw they go in for the immediate spike plant and then just immediately kind of throw it down the drain. Divine now, the Reyna picking up a double elimination. That's going to be huge in favor of our attackers right now, and that's going to be absolutely massive. Montclair able to find a lot of damage, but now Divine, their damage dealer, already taken out. We saw that Reyna pick up a double kill, and then immediately things just not looking good. That's going to be a 4v1 again, and Irish there able to pick up a double kill at the end of it. That's going to be 2 rounds in a row being handed to Montclair.
Yeah, Divine still leading the pack 5-2 right now, but some of the members of their team haven't died. Iris and Flumi's both leading it with 2 behind them. So all around, great team play so far. It seems like they had a really good idea of how they want to approach the point, how they want to set up. The retake right now from Sacramento State 2 has not been as efficient as it could be. And I'm looking at the buy that's coming out right now from Sacramento State 2. They forced a little bit last round, so you're seeing what they have. That's a lot of Buckies. That is 2 Buckies. That is 2 more than ever be on the field. And we also have a shorty coming out. So this is going to be a very close quarters matchup if Sacramento State wants to win this.
I love that your point of view was kind of focused on the Buckies, but the first thing I noticed was that shorty coming out, and I'm very excited to see something that's going to happen. Divine, once again, I think that's 3 rounds in a row. Divine's been the first one to draw blood. Going to be able to find 2 more eliminations. Oni going to be able to find a kill there, but Divine really cracking this wide open once again. Really, almost single-handedly carrying this team on their shoulders with 8 eliminations. The next in line is 3. So right now, Divine doing a phenomenal job carrying this team on their shoulders. We see the attackers once again, Sacramento just getting rolled over by Montclair.
Yeah, Oni's still alive, so there is a chance they might be able to get a kill here or two. But you see the Nano Swarm as well as the Flame Wall already being committed. There's the smoke coming down from this Brimstone, so they know that eventually Oni's going to be walking through. This question is, where will they end up? What angles will they be covering? And this timer's ticking down, so even if they get a kill or two, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Oni getting 3. Can they find 2 more? And the Spike Diffuse, no. Iris going to get the headshot from behind.
Yeah.
Iris at 3-0 right now. And Divine has definitely been carrying the load for the team so far, a big weight on their backs. But the rest of the team right now, for Montclair, they are following through as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely phenomenal thing to see so far. Divine doing this very high-risk, high-reward strategy of just running in and killing as many people as they can before usually dying themselves, and then Iris doing a phenomenal job 3 rounds in a row, being the one to clean up those final eliminations. That's not really a strategy, so to speak, to send somebody in a blaze of glory to die every time. But I think, weirdly enough, it's worked.
Yeah, in the industry, we call that inting, when you just kind of run in. But when you run in with a purpose, you're able to get a lot done. Now they've committed a curveball and a leer, and they're going to try to take this mid control. They're going to force the Sage to back up a little bit, but Divine knows there's someone there. The buy is so good for Montclair, and they're already up 3 rounds. It's going to take a very big thrifty round, but there's the first kill already.
Oh, there's going to be another one. That's going to be 2 in favor. It's going to be 2v2, actually. Both teams lost 2 players, and it's going to be that 3v3. We see both the Reyna and the Raze on both sides, respectively. Pretty low health. We're going to see her ultimate come out as well, and right now the Spike being carried by that Killjoy player whose name I haven't been able to catch quite yet. It's going to be Riggs and Astru with the triple cleanup kill. That's going to be 3 easy shots from Astru on the ground there. That's going to be the first win for our defenders, Sacramento.
And that's also the 3 kills. That's the only time that they've actually gotten kills. So that 3K right there, that was the first time we've seen Astro get on the board. And actually misspoke. That wasn't a light buy. That was a full buy coming out from Sacramento State 2 after the light buy the previous round. So they're finally at even strength. They're finally able to win one. And I don't know. I feel like mid control isn't as important in a split as it is to Ascent or something similar to that, or like Haven. So you really don't have to force it. Defensive high ground positioning is just so good usually for a team like Sacramento State 2. So when you're running up, you're putting yourself at a lot of risk to a lot of spam damage. There they try to divide and conquer. They try to look at ropes as well as into heaven for B, and neither times did they find a good vantage point. And now the run it back, yep, they're just gonna get the full health.
Yeah, Astru going to send it in with the run it back. It's going to be Mitchell finding Divine in the chaos there. It's going to be a trade. 3v3 now, a shot through the wall from Swoldominus wrecked. Oni able to pick up a double kill of their own. Phoenix now already used that run it back and now has to try to survive in a 3v1. Also, they don't have the spike, so that's definitely buried and surrounded by defenders right now. 1 minute and 3 seconds left on the clock. This is all but an impossible task.
Yeah, Flumies does have run it back. It was the other Phoenix Astro that already used it.
You're totally right.
Tried to use it on defense. I think was able to get some help back, but immediately got found out. So they could try to use it here as a way to get information, but when it's a 1v3, you don't really need that much information. It's probably better to save it for another day. If Flumies can get 1 or 2 kills here, it would be great. You see how Sacramento State 2 is playing this? They are just playing around the spike. They are not pushing out. They're going to lose 1, but that's going to be information. They know where Flumies is now.
Yeah, they know where Flumies is. Now he's going to have to react to this. He wasn't able to play that second corner. Didn't expect anyone to actually be there. Now it's going to be a 2v1. And if they had landed those shots, I really think we could have seen them bring that down to a 1v1. But they shot the corner just a couple too many times. And unfortunately, it's going to cost them the round.
Yeah, they tried going for the wall bang, but I think the angle's a bit too awkward there to actually land anything through it. So both of them end up pulling up classics, and it is not going to be in favor of Flumies that turnaround. Oni now. We talked about Divine coming up big early on. It's really been Oni the show so far, which is surprising. You don't see Brimstone usually fragging out as much. Usually they play a bit more somber role, a bit more what's the word I'm trying to think of? They're not as aggressive. That's the right version. But Oni so far has really stepped up here, and we'll see if they continue to do that. And one thing to note right now is Montclair, after being up 3-2, now they're gonna have to do a bit of a light buy, and they're facing a tied matchup.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you don't want to see, in all honesty. You really want to try to take a lead early on and secure some early rounds, try to save up some extra points from getting those rounds. But like you said, we're going to have to see the light buy coming through here because things are looking a little bit bleak. If we see Sacramento able to turn this around, I think that would really be great for them, and that could really put a series back on our hands.
It could be. There are ultimates right now for Montclair, so even though the gun advantage might not be in their favor, Stingers are still very deadly. There's going to be one of them. They're going to be using Rolling Thunder right away, but Mitchell's there. Again, check your corners.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those check your corners incidents. Mitchell just not on top of things. Oni once again picking up a double kill in the midst of things. And our defenders, we've seen this time and time again. The defenders, whoever starts on defense, they start off a little bit weak, a couple of games go down the drain, and then all of a sudden they come back in full swing and they find phenomenal eliminations like this time and time again.
And right now you're seeing the attackers, Montclair, they're trying to figure out what angles their enemies are at. They know there's someone now coming from spawn side. They probably have a good idea there's someone in heaven. They get one. They know the spike's up there, so this is where it gets really problematic. If you're Divine, you just want to create as much noise as possible. They already know that Flumies is on the flank, but if you make enough noise, maybe Flumies will try to go for it anyway. They just throw out the Leer instead, and it's not going to be enough. Sure, you got a Flame Wall and the Curveball, but it's a 2v1, and you got to try to get up there somehow, some way. It's just not going to happen, I think.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a disastrous play. Going up the one place they expected you to be was really not the good call. And obviously the grapple makes a sound on your way up. So there was very telescripted. It's going to be 6 seconds left. It looks like we're going to see that draw come through here. They're going to decide to keep their weapons and move forward. It's going to be that stalemate. Does give the defenders that third point, though. So now we're looking at a 3v3. This really could go for quite a while here.
And I think what Flumies should have done there is have, you can send Divine out. I think actually Divine had better health pool, so maybe have Divine go on the flank, switch Flumies, have them go up into heaven. Sure, you're going to die, but if you distract them long enough, then you can just go for the spray transfer, get 2 kills back to back, win that round, maybe even get some extra plant money. But there, they both take the same angle, and neither of them are able to find anything. Like I said, Split is so advantageous for defenders because of all of that high ground there. They use it perfectly, and Sacramento State too. They were down, and now they're all tied up.
Yeah, it was going to be that, like you said, it was down 3-0, I believe, at one point. And if it wasn't, it was that 2-0. But right now, I mean, we're just seeing the team come out from our defenders a lot stronger. Sacramento has been very successful in their performance so far in these last couple of rounds, and I really don't think they've changed much. I think we've just seen a little bit of a worse game coming out from Montclair.
Oh, they know that Aster is there, but Aster is down. They're going to be planning, but there's no ultimates on their side, and now they're in a big disadvantage. There's the Showstopper. Going to be jumping out. Oh, Killjoy, please hide for your own sake. You run right into Mitchell instead.
Yeah, that was a bit of a massacre there from Mitchell, straight into that Killjoy player. Riggs just got caught out there. Sacktane able to find Divine. Omi gone, or Omi taking out Iris as well. There comes the defuse onto the spike, and the defenders for the first time have taken a lead.
And that was a great play there by Omi. Omi not doing a lot right now in terms of the kill leaderboard, but just a great play. As a Sage, you have to be really careful of how you play. Just waiting in A heaven, know that there's someone coming from the defender side, or actually from the attacker side. Yeah, so coming all the way around. So they just kind of split that angle. They've got someone on point waiting for it. They've got someone defusing it. They play it perfectly. They get that final kill. Fuse comes through, and like you said, they're going to take the lead, and they're also going to take a big economy advantage. Montclair, once again, going to have to do a bit of a light, but I think the only one who can buy an assault rifle is Flumies with the Vandal.
Yeah, the Vandal, definitely kind of an unusual choice to come through here, but an effective one nonetheless. And we see Iris rocking my personal favorite gun, which is the Spectre. I love seeing it in-game. It's personally one that I feel I aim the best with, even though I don't think I aim well with any weapon, if I'm being honest, but that's why I'm behind the desk. So we see now moving forward, it's going to be that 4v3, less than a minute and a half on the clock. Divine pushing in for the first elimination, able to find that first blood again. Only going to be one to fall, and now there's a Sage around the corner. They know it's there. Try to look for that through-the-wall shot, but Omi going to find a headshot once again. Omi now finding the resurrection onto Oni as well, pushing back into a 4v5 here. That Sage already at semi-critical condition. Riggs looking to plant the spike early on. We see the Cypher circle kind of getting in the way as well. Riggs planting the spike. Finally, that might force a couple of our defenders to get extra aggressive here. Flumi is able to find Oni in the chaos once again. That Brimstone going to go down. It's going to be a close quarters here. Mitchell able to take out Swole Dominus Rex. And Mitchell now looking to find a rampage all their own. This is something we've seen from Mitchell earlier. They love to find these late game shots, and they love to take these eliminations as quickly and as passionately as they can. They know someone's hiding in this corner. Are they going to be able to confirm the kill? Yes, they will. Mitchell takes out Riggs in the chaos and now starts free firing into the wall from Phoenix there. They're able to defuse half of the spike. It looks like they may be able to get the whole thing.
Yeah, just Gloomies and Dream. The spike is defused. You don't even get the last kill. Mitchell gets 3, and that's a pretty clean round. Almost flawless coming out from Sacramento State 2. And I think that really broke down for Montclair when they lost Divine. Divine able to get that kill off the bat, but then Omi just comes and runs in. Knows they have the firepower advantage. But two things. Divine had Empress up. Could have gone for the gun that was dropped by Oni. Didn't do either of these, and on top of that, actually went for the invulnerability orb instead of getting heals. So they were a bit weaker going into that fight, especially because they bought light armor instead. So I think if that was played a little bit different by Divine, they would have had that big 5v3 going into that round, and things would be tied up again. But instead, we see a lead now developing for Sacramento State too.
Yeah, we see the Cypher on the side of, on the side of Sacramento, hiding on point B, but everybody else is on point A. So they're kind of going to be out of the fight for a decent while here. Riggs able to find an elimination. Both Phoenixes taken out right away. I don't know what it is about Phoenix, but I feel like they're always the first person to die. No matter which team it's on, no matter which side it is, Phoenix seems to always be the first character to fall. And now we see them in heaven once again. Killjoy going to commit that gonna commit that shutdown now early on. Omi trying to find an elimination on Divine as well. So Dominus Rex gonna miss a couple of shots there, desperately trying to find Omi, but the headshot comes through once again. Just a phenomenal look so far. The shutdown does come through. One player is gonna get caught up here. I'm not quite sure who it is. I think it's Riggs, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm really not sure. Or no, Riggs is the one doing it, I'm sorry. Zach Hayes now taking out Iris as well, and now the chaos comes through. Riggs finds an elimination with Zach Hayes off the back of it. I think it may be too late to defuse this.
I don't think so. I think it should go through once you get to that really fast pace. That's when you basically have 4 seconds, but there are still 3 seconds on the clock. Gonna be another round going their way, and it's interesting to see how lockdown is used for different teams. A lot of the time earlier we saw it be used as a retake thing. Here they were just trying to hold the point instead of retaking it as they were the attackers, but it just seems like Sacramento State says, we don't care, we'll play with no fear. They run in, one gets trapped, but because they're already up so much, it would be not a great plan for Montclair to try to chase those down. They know that, so they can play a little bit more risky with those numbers up. They can even try to bait, one of their own teammates just to get the trade, because the trade will be in their favor if it's a 3-1. And their lockdown going to be ineffective in the end.
Yeah, we see Hayes doing the exact same thing, playing on point B, where the B point when nobody's really there yet, and I don't think they're going to be for a decent while. We're seeing a lot of gunfights early on, and it seems that we are constantly seeing a 4v5 because Sacramento's always down a person because their Cypher likes to hang out in the corner of point B, and I don't know if that's necessarily, a great strategy so far. I mean, definitely they're up, but I feel like these fights could be won a lot more efficiently if they didn't have a Cypher constantly kind of hiding out in that back corner. Divine now playing the corner as well, going to get into a gunfight with Astru, but Astru going to come out on top. Then maybe the first time we see Divine lose a gunfight that quickly. Still, the most eliminations in lobby with 13. Mitchell and Riggs go toe-to-toe. Riggs going to be able to take out Mitchell, but not before Mitchell takes out Flumies. And now Iris able to take out Omi, but Omi gets another kill on the Swole Dominus Rex. So these players going toe-to-toe every single time, bullet to bullet. Hayes now picking up a single elimination before Riggs is able to find them as well, picking up 2 eliminations in this fight. Now down to 5 health, looking to plant that spike, going up against 2 full health characters, that Phoenix and that Brimstone, Astru and Oni respectively. The shot comes from Oni and Riggs taken out. That is another secured round for our defenders.
Able to get the plant, so still more money going the way of Montclair, which is good because their economy is not great right now. You saw that was another light buy round they had to commit to after being up very early on. They've fallen behind, and you talk about the Cypher play, about how Hayes kind of left alone on B, and well, I totally agree. You want to do a full team fight if possible, have as many guns in a fight as you can, but the thing with Cypher is Cypher's really only good at locking down one area at a time, so you got those tripwires on B, so if they try to run in really quickly, he's got a way out. Those tripwires will catch them up. It'll also give a lot of information to their teammates, so with the camera as well looking down into garage, there's just so much you can get from it. And Cypher, if you walk too far away, those abilities aren't online anymore, so it's working out for them, and that's going to be a showstopper that's going to get the run it back out.
Yeah, the showstopper and run it back go toe-to-toe there, and the run it back, of course, loses, but the Phoenix gets to walk away nonetheless. They get to keep their life, and they get to use that ultimate to stay alive a little bit longer. The score still being 7-3 if you're just joining us. The Empress now online for Divine as well, so they're going to go toe-to-toe with that. Try to get a little bit bloodthirsty, but they are currently by their lonesome on the map. Nobody else really in the area for the time being. A lot of players, actually, if you take a look at the map, if you're able to see it on the top left of your screen, everybody's spread out quite a bit. Mitchell now being run into by Flumies and able to find that elimination. We now see Divine and the Breach, who's Swole Dominus Rex, also pushing in as far as they can. But I mean, Mitchell, especially on this raise, definitely not somebody you want to be running into face first for the time being.
No, I mean, there's just so much damage. They can also boop you up a little bit with that blast pack and displace you, and you know how it is trying to shoot when you are moving. It's not great, but that was a great pick there. There's a trade, so it's still going to be in favor of Sacramento State too, but right now, see, there you go. There's the Cypher trap working out perfectly, and Iris, though, actually going to stay alive. The follow-up from their teammates is great. Now can Divine keep playing in heaven?
Yeah, just great cover from Riggs there to keep Omen alive, and Iris took a lot of damage, but going to be able to live at least a little bit longer. It's going to be a 1v2. Astru able to pick up Riggs. The defenders, once again, trying to get hyper-aggressive, going to use that curveball around the corner and try to see what's going on. Going to use the run it back as well, but nobody was there, so it kind of gets not really thrown down the drain. They were looking for a little bit of recon. Iris now hiding behind the box. Here's the defuse. Oni knows that they're there, and it's all it's going to take is one bullet coming from Oni. A great shot. Iris taken out once again, and the spike, again, going to be defused. They get credits for planting it, like you mentioned last round, but I mean, the defuses so far are really putting a hole in the plan coming out from Montclair here.
Yeah, if you look at the last 5 rounds, they've all been defuse wins. The first 3 rounds were 2 just elim rounds for the defense, and then 1 round where time expired, there was no plant. So these defuses are coming in, and that's also going to be helping out the ult economy for Sacramento State too. So there's a little bit of a back and forth about how those economies end up working out. I saw there was a bit of hesitation there, unfortunately, from Iris. I think they could have won that 1v1 against Oni. Oni was also so weak, actually a bit weaker, but they just waited a split second longer. Probably wouldn't have won that out as Astro was still full health, but a trade's a trade, and that's something you want to win.
Of course, like you said, a trade is a trade, no matter how it shows up. Astru and Oni able to pick up 2 eliminations right away, but Rig's going to be able to find Astru in the chaos. There's the spike coming out, looking for that right away, but we're going to see the orbital laser come out now onto the point from Brimstone, trying to put the pressure down as fast as possible, but Rig's still desperately going to plant that spike, unable to do so now on 2 health, going for it a third time. Are they going to be able to do it? Here comes a grenade from Raze, and it's going to be able to take them out. That was a move of desperation if I've ever seen it, but Riggs still unable to plant that spike, and right now, I mean, we're just seeing a massive difference in the credits there. Of course, that's going to reset now as we move into this next half of the game. But I mean, that was just very unlucky for Montclair. Every single round, they could not get the credits they needed.
And they started out so strong, and then they had this playing base that were just going to rush to the point every time, and then once they gave up on that, when they tried playing for default, when they tried playing for mid, things fell apart. They weren't able to get those first opening kills a lot of the time. They were the ones falling down by 1 or 2 members early on, and it was so hard for them to get back into this. Divine, who started off this game really strongly, still has the most kills in the lobby, but also has the most deaths. So you see that kind of feast, famine play style with the Reina. You got to go in, you got to play aggressive, but if you're not getting trades out that you're winning, like you're not getting 2 to your 1 life, it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't have said it better. It's that high risk, high reward, that feast or famine play style that maybe isn't working out in the way Divine wants it to. We saw the aggression come through and it worked out really well for the first couple of rounds, but it just took Sacramento to realize, oh wait, just kill the Reina first. And that's really all it took. And now they've just fumbled every single time after that. Oni and Mitchell both able to pick up eliminations right away. We see the wall coming out from Sage early on, so Omi's able to plant that. Actually, Omi putting up their own wall, so they're able to plant that spike. They're going to get the free credit not only for planting the spike, but things are looking like they're going to win the round as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few members right now pretty weak on the side of Sacramento State too, but I don't think it's going to matter. You see the boots, a lot of damage there. Iris able to find one, not going to be able to find a second one, and now it is only this Breach left alive with 17 health. No dreams, no memes, just Astro getting a triple kill at the very end, and it just looks like right now Sacramento State 2 is in complete control. And reminder, this was Montclair State's map choice, but they got to choose the sides. Sacramento State 2 said, you know, we'll take defense first. We'll run up the gauntlet there, and then we'll just take a few more rounds in attack to wrap things up. They're going to buy now since they have a little bit of money, and they're going to swap things up. After going to B last time, it looks like they're going to be positioning themselves towards A.
Now you've got to wonder, did they possibly pick Montclair in kind of a mentality thing, like we know we're bad at it, get it out of the way? Or do we think that maybe they chose this because they thought they were going to be able to win it, and now things are really not working out in their favor?
Do you see what's going on right now?
We're seeing a complete flank coming out in the back line. We see our defenders going not only down, but all the way around up behind our attackers, so they are going to be... Well, they were going to be more than confused, but Hayes able to drop a great plant coming through there. And now everybody knows where everybody's at. It's going to turn into a gunfight right away. Hayes and Oni able to pick up 2 eliminations onto Iris and Riggs, and the chaos did not work out in the favor that they wanted it to. Our defenders not really busting out with the game plan they wanted, losing 2 very early on. Now it's going to be a 3v5.
And that was a great play, honestly. I like that Montclair tried something a bit creative. The problem was that it seems like somehow, someway, Hayes was prepared for it. Uses the tripwire behind them, is able to get a kill or 2 early on, and now it's just Flumies all alone and gonna be meeting their teammates in the respawn site. Wow, I'm amazed by that, how that turned out. That could have gone so wrong so quickly for Sacramento State too, but the Cypher, I was kind of saying earlier, you know, it's not as good on attack as a Killjoy, but there you see where it can pay off. You've got the camera to help show you if the site's clear or not, and then you can make sure that no one's gonna be flanking you.
Yeah, no, definitely something that I wanted to see come out there with success from that. Like you said, that kind of unique strategy, something you didn't expect to see. And unfortunately, the Cypher maybe planned to get 1 person, but then ended up actually finding all 5 with that tripwire. So the plan kind of immediately collapsed. Definitely unfortunate to see. We see again this Phoenix going for the curveball right away. Flumi's just looking to find even a stun on somebody, even just a blind sight on somebody. But Astru now pushing in as well. They're going to put the pressure on as fast as they can. And Mitchell, I think we're seeing utilize this Raze kit a lot different than anybody else that we've seen earlier today. Oni going to be able to save Mitchell a little bit earlier on, and Omi able to find a shot as well. Iris takes out Astru, but Hayes able to find Iris. Riggs picks up Hayes as well. The spike has once again been planted. It's going to be a 3v2 in favor of our attacking team, Sacramento. Now they get to put the pressure down. They get to just take this and run. I mean, they're only 2 rounds away from winning this.
Yeah, and Divine's got to do something, got to think of something quickly. They knew that they were right there in screens for a little bit. They broke the wall pretty quickly after it was placed up, but with that smoke going on to heaven. They probably had a good idea. They try to rotate up there. It's possible it's a 3v1, especially if you're Reyna and you have all of your orbs, but you're just going to run into Mitchell and you're not going to be able to get it done. And as you said, now we're on match point. This is going very smoothly for Sacramento State too.
Yeah, things were so close for a while. It was 3-0 in favor of Montclair, our currently defending team, and then all of a sudden, it was 3-3. Okay, you know, things are getting a little bit rough for Montclair, but I don't think they've won a round since those first 3. This is now 9 rounds in a row where Sacramento has come out on top.
It's technically been 12 rounds in a row, if you can count before halftime, but 3 rounds in a row since halftime. Yeah, they went up 3-0 going into round 4, and since then, they have lost every round going for them. So it's been pretty unfortunate for Montclair to see kind of a fall from grace after such a hot start. You see that right now, Sacramento State 2, they're just going to keep playing A. They're going to keep forcing a lot of utility out. And now with the run it back, they're going to force even more of that CC ability. They're going to find Omen. They're going to almost find a breach, but they are going to find Flumies.
Yeah, that's going to be 2 down already, and it's going to be a great look. It's going to be a 3v4 in favor, of course, of Sacramento, our attacking team for the time being. And the curveballs coming out from both Phoenixes were actually incredibly successful there. Both of them finding, I think, 1 or 2 targets. And now it's going to be a 4v1. Sacramento all but has this in the bag. So will Dominus Rex, of course, can live for another day, but that day will not be today. That is going to be a very convincing win in favor of Sacramento. That first map already gone, and now we're going to be moving on to Ascent, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to be moving on to Ascent for our second map in just a little bit. But I'm really wondering where this fell apart for Montclair, because we keep talking about how they had that really good start. I mean, it was really clean. They lost Divine, I think, every time a Divine was going in. They were getting kills. The rest of the team was cleaning it up. And then it seems like from there, things just kind of went south. So I'm wondering maybe if this go big or go home mentality from Divine was kind of costing the team a little bit later on, just because the rest of the team wasn't able to follow up as quickly. Or if, after warming up a little bit, Sacramento State 2 was able to come out. I mean, we look at the leaderboard. Divine's still at the top of it, still doing really good. 16 kills, 3 assists. But then you see Mitchell and Oni and Astru. They all did so well after those 3 rounds that they lost early on.
Yeah, absolutely. There was things falling through very quickly from Montclair. They had great progress for a very large majority of that, like you said, and then all of a sudden they were unable to follow up off the end of things. They weren't finding the eliminations when they really needed to be. So that's definitely not a good look, but we've still got at least one more map here coming up. We're going to throw it to a quick break. We're going to let the players use the restroom. I'm going to go run to the restroom, and we'll see you guys in just a minute. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to this game of Valorant that has been nothing but intense. Before we jump back in, I wanted to let everybody know that when NECC started streaming this Monday for Season 0, we had, I think, around 1,250 followers, and I think we now just recently passed the 1,600 follower mark. So that is absolutely huge. Thank you, everybody, for your never-ending support. We could not do what we do without you, and if you're not following NECC Esports on Twitter, go ahead and do that, because there are a whole bunch of giveaways and whatnot over there with the Discord and Twitter and a whole bunch of things, in the Twitch channel getting a bunch of followers. They're doing a whole bunch of giveaways over there. And while we're at it, plugging things, if you're not following myself and Jag, who's over here on Twitter as well, our Twitters should be immediately below us. And if they're not, go to mine and you'll see him. We're all over each other's Twitters. But, thank you, everybody, for your never-ending support for both us as casters and NECC Valorant and NECC as a whole. But jumping back in, we just had Sacramento versus Montclair. Sacramento wins, what was it, 13-3, I believe, was the final score. So it was pretty much an absolute bloodbath. If you're just joining us, I suspect we might see a similar thing here on Ascent, as that is the second map we'll be going into.
Yep, self-promos aside, this was a game that we expected to be a bit close after the first few rounds, but it did not end up that way. Sacramento State 2, after losing 3 in a row, they just ran with it. There's only 16 rounds played in this game. I mean, 25 minutes for a Valorant map. That's a pretty low amount of time, but we'll see if we can have Montclair come back. That was Montclair's pick on Split. So now we're going into the pick of Sacramento State 2. We know it's Ascent. And one thing that I find really interesting is that because it was Montclair's pick last time, they got to pick side this time, they didn't pick defense. They picked attack for sides. That was their choice. They got the first choice there, and they decided to go attack on Ascent. And I think that is a very risky move. Obviously, they had their most success on attack before on Split. But, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an unusual choice. I agree. We talked about this earlier today. We'll talk about it again. This is kind of a defender map. This is kind of a defender advantage map. We're going to see, it looks like no changes coming out. Excuse me. Flumies is going to swap from Phoenix onto that Jet. It's already locked in, so it's true. So Dominus Rect is going to lock into that Sova instead of that Breach. And it looks like we're going to see a couple other changes as well. Mitchell now on the Phoenix. So that's not going to be Astru. Mitchell and Astru actually both swapping. Hayes as well. So, okay, we're seeing almost an entire swap coming out from Sacramento. Hayes, who was that Cypher, now on that Killjoy. Mitchell, who was that Raze, now on that Phoenix. And Astru, who was that Phoenix, now on that Reyna. So that's a lot of things to watch out for. And like I said, there's a couple swaps. Flumies now was a Phoenix, is now Jet. And Soul Dominus Rect, who was Breach, is now Sova. I think that's everybody. I think nobody else changed.
And Omi and Oni, who have been basically the one consistent. I mean, they're the same, right? They're running the Brimstone and the Sage respectively. And, we talk about how Sage really isn't as powerful as she once was, but she still did work there. I mean, she's getting healing orbs in. The res was really impactful onto Oni in one of the earlier rounds. So all that adds up. We'll see right now if these defenders can once again hold down the fort. And I think the biggest thing is Flumi's on the Jet. I mean, we talked about how Jet can be really good here because of how much high ground there is, how you can contest it with her jumps up to get all that extra mobility. So we'll see if that's a chain that works out better. The other one I'm looking at is the Sova. I know you're not a huge fan of Sova, but I think Sova is great for information. So we hit those recon arrows. You can learn a lot about a site before even having to approach it.
I also think Soba's great for information. I just hate him because he is stinky, and I have no other reason to dislike him.
I think you're just jealous of how handsome he is.
I probably am. You know what? I could never pull off the look that he's got going right now. But Divine gonna make sure Astru can't pull off this Reyna either. It's gonna be one elimination right into the other, and now we're gonna see Divine taken out. Riggs able to take out their counterpart. Hayes now down the drain. It's gonna be a 3v4 in favor of currently our attackers. Montclair on for the first time in a long time on top of things. We saw earlier today, if you weren't watching, there were a couple Jet players earlier today going for some insane Hail Mary plays. They landed them a few times. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that here. Iris takes out Oni, but Mitchell right on top of it, able to find Iris. It's going to be a 2v3. The spike coming through, or the spike plant coming through from Riggs. Once again, that's at least going to get them the credits for that. And they've also got the numbers. So this definitely has an opportunity to move forward here and confirm a round win for them early on.
And look at the turret setup. So if Mitchell peeks even a little bit, they're going to be immediately found out. He's going to jump on down, but it's not going to be returning around. Now they know there's at least one in hell, and Omi's just going to go around for the shot. Can they find the next one? They can't.
So close. credit where credit is due. That was a relatively solid strategy. They said, okay, I'll jump in, I'll go to get at least one. You just have to kill, you know, if somebody else shows up. That's exactly what they did. They expected one player. I don't think they expected two, and at the end of the day, that did end up costing them. But there was definitely some strategy there coming out from those two final players. A phenomenal job, and this is a script that we are familiar with already. Montclair won the first 3 rounds of that last game, and then ended up getting completely swept off their feet afterward. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that here. Maybe Sacramento just has to get their footing on a new map.
Yeah, absolutely. It might take a little bit of time for Sacramento to warm up like they did last time. I mean, the play was sound, just trying to jump into hell, see if you can find one or two. They probably expected that they'd actually be outside in this choke point that we're looking at right now, having that other member there. But both of them were in hell, just unfortunate, couldn't get the spray transfer. And like we said, Montclair, they started off strong last time. And one thing to notice, both teams have gotten full buys with the Stingers. So Stingers for everyone right now on the map.
Yeah, it's a full party Stinger parade here, but Divine gonna clean up Mitchell straight away. Good look, they're gonna try to find at least one more elimination if Grenade comes through from the Raze. I believe there's no Raze here. I don't know what I'm talking about, but Omi and Oni both take out Divine and Flumy respectively. That's gonna be a 3v3 as we see Hayes able to pick up a double kill. It's gonna be immediately a 3v1. The Chaos just comes to life, and Hayes almost single-handedly brings the Defender wave back to life. It's gonna be 1-1 in terms of score. If you're just now joining us, Sacramento absolutely whooped Montclair just moments ago in the first map. It's gonna be a final score of 13-3. Right now, things already looking a little bit closer than we saw, 1-1, and I'm very excited to see what happens next, because, I mean, as we see a couple of buys coming through, nobody's really got that many points quite yet.
Yeah, the credits are not really in either team's favor. I mean, right now, it looks like Montclair has a slight advantage, but it also looks like they're going to be completely saving this round, so that might give them a buy, actually, for 2 rounds in a row, depending on how they play this or how well they do. For Sacramento State, they're just keeping everything they used to have. So this second squad for Sacramento, they've got the firepower advantage, but I mean, we haven't really seen it yet so far that a 50 rounds have been successful, but we saw a lot of 50 rounds earlier today, so I wouldn't count it out of the cards by any means.
You know, I definitely agree with that. And something always gives me a mild chuckle of when you're scrolling through people to spectate and there's just a Sage standing on a wall. I don't know what it is about it, but it just always makes me laugh a little bit. Astru able to pick up Divine, that bloodthirsty kind of vengeance kill. One Reyna taking out the other, and the Chaos Incarnate comes through. Astru now trying to take a 2v1 at 47 health, but they know exactly where they're at. This is going to be a difficult one. This Reyna trying to find some elimination. They know the Killjoy's there, but Riggs able to clean up off the back of it. Oni now finding Riggs. It's going to be a 4v3 in favor of our defenders once again. The spike has been dropped as well. Riggs getting a little bit too aggressive, holding that spike, but the defenders, spike or not, they're going to wipe out this attacking team. That's going to secure another victory for them. Sacramento looking just as good as ever.
Yeah, absolutely. The question is, do they buy or do they keep? And it looks like for the most part they will buy. They still have 2 Stingers online for themselves, so this is an advantage possibly going the way of Montclair, even though they're down in rounds. They just have more money to spend. They can't really save anything because there's nothing to save when you're all dead. And it looks like after thinking about buying for a little bit, Sacramento State says they're just going to go for a save round. They're just going to stick with SMGs. So 4 Stingers, 1 Spectre. This is a chance for Montclair to tie things up. But I am a bit worried. There's the Blaze Storm. So Flumies actually didn't buy, decides to use those knives instead. And like you said before, we've seen some great plays where they just jump all the way over the top here on A, try to get a headshot. We'll see if Flumies can get it done this time around.
Yeah, Flumies gonna go for it. Looks like we're gonna see the jump come through, and there it is. Flumies kisses Oni goodbye with a great Knife Storm shot coming through. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Call that a caster curse, call that what you will, but we knew that was coming. A caster gift, a caster present, if you will. A phenomenal shot. Divine taking out Astru once again, so it's gonna be 3v5 already. Make it 2v5, is right now Montclair coming to life. This has just been a phenomenal round for them so far. That's gonna be 3 eliminations. Now it's gonna be a Phoenix and a Sage versus a full team. Looks like Montclair may be looking for a flawless run. They know somebody's around the corner. Mitchell going to go toe-to-toe with this Sage, I believe. Oh, no, excuse me. Mitchell going toe-to-toe with Divine, who's able to take out Omi. So the Sage is now gone, and Flumy is able to find Mitchell. Talk about a flawless round, especially from Flumies there, using that Knife Storm to just rain havoc on the defending team.
And that's a bit of a misplay, I think, from Sacramento State, too, the fact that they decided to stick with their guns, because they could have bought and still be in okay position. I guess one of the reasons they wanted to do that specifically was so Mitchell could get the Operator, and one thing we're seeing is a Phoenix with the Operator. You don't see that very often because you don't have nearly as much escapability as, for, say, a Jet or even a Yoru. You do have self-heal ability, so if you get tagged out, maybe you can stay alive through that, but I don't know if this is the play right now. Mitchell's going to be trying to do their best. It looks like they're set up. I think they're set up in mid right now, so they have that angle looking towards B, and I mean, already making me eat my words, getting the first kill on Divine.
Yeah, Mitchell able to take Divine out of the chaos right away, and Reyna, the bloodthirstiest player on the side of Montclair, already immediately taken out. And that's going to be great because now Sacramento, they can take a little bit of the weight off their shoulders. They still have to kill 4 more, but we've seen them do it very easily when that Reyna isn't around. When we see Divine taken out of the fight, there's a whole new level to Sacramento. They get super aggressive, and they really like to put their money where their mouth is. In all honesty, they like to really go toe to toe with these players as soon as they know that bloodthirsty Reyna can no longer kind of get in their way. We're going to see Killjoy Riggs committing their ultimate, but they're not going to find anybody with it. That was kind of a cheeky starter play, and everybody kind of ran off point in the blink of an eye there. So definitely an unusual one. I'm not sure if they're trying to bait somebody out on A here, but it's definitely not working in favor. Only 48 seconds left, and Riggs still kind of struggling to choose which way they want to go.
I think this was a bait. I mean, it's in the rotation. They get Flumies out. They get the operator down, but look at the rest of the team. The rest of the team's already set up on B. There's only that Killjoy, and Hayes is going to find one, but now the rest of the team is set up, and Iris is going to stand bodyguard as the spike is planted.
Yeah, Iris, like you said, standing bodyguard. They plant the spike once again. That's going to be some free credits if I've ever seen it. That's just a phenomenal look. Like you said, the op taken out of the way, but here comes the Killjoy once again. Riggs able to take out Astro with a little bit of chaos here. These Killjoys really going toe-to-toe with this. Hayes is just doing a phenomenal job so far. Flumi is able to take out Oni with an op of their own, and now here comes another elimination onto Omi. Omi taken out in succession.
That would be a tongue twister.
Whew, that is quite the tongue twister I've ever worked with one. Things are going absolutely nuts so far. Hayes just taking out Iris all the same. It is going to be toe-to-toe here. Jet in critical condition, but Riggs just can't do enough. One Killjoy takes out another. The defuse now coming online. They know they're around the corner, and Flumi's able to clean up the end of the round with the op, finding 3 eliminations in the chaos. That's going to give them another point on board here.
And Flumies really was the MVP of this round. They take the op out early, they pick it up, and like I said, Jet is a great hero with this operator. You can use your dash, you can use your jump to get into so many places, to get out of so many fights if you need to. If you miss a shot, immediately just dash. You see it so often from pros and Joes alike. So that's a free gift they got for Mitchell, and look at Mitchell. Mitchell cannot buy at all now. They're going to be stuck with the Sheriff. So, I'm wondering if they had bought 2 rounds ago, if they had gone for the full buy instead of keeping their guns, if they would be in this scenario now, because Montclair has taken the lead back once again.
Yeah, Montclair's taking the lead. I mean, at this point, the Montclair that we're seeing right now is a team that we have not seen yet today. And if they are able to win this second map, it will take us all the way to that famed map 3. And you love to see those. You love to see close tournament games. And the first one, as all of you watching at home, I'm sure know, was not close by any means. So we would definitely love to see closer matchup coming here at the end of the day. And we just, right now, like you said, 3-2, Montclair taking the lead for the first time in a long time once again, and they're up 1 already in this round. Sacramento, they're starting to sweat a little bit. They're starting to look a little bit weaker than they were earlier today. Oh.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that op play. I mean, you've seen Flumies just taking over this game now. It was a 4v2 when he started talking, or I think a 5v4 actually. Now it's a 5v2, and Divine has just been on this flank trying to find someone with their Lear. They're gonna, I don't know if they're gonna go to plant. It looks like they're just running with the spike. They're gonna lose Divine, but Flumi's immediately gonna trade it out. So I think right now, if you have the spike, you gotta make a decision. They're gonna go to A. They know that spike, that point is basically cleared out, and now Iris is actually gonna back out. They might have been able to catch the rotation there from Hayes, but not gonna be able to do it just yet.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Chaos Incarnate, Hayes, the sole survivor of our defending team. The plant is going to come through from Riggs. I mean, Flumies right now with this op has just been, I mean, as they miss a shot on stream, it has been nothing but flawless. We have seen some incredible gameplay in this op. I mean, a very strong weapon, especially in the hands of somebody as clearly well-versed as Flumies with this gun.
And I'm going to go back to, again, that full buy versus not buying the op. I think that's really what separated Montclair apart. They got that as a gift. They didn't buy it themselves, so that completely shattered the economy of Mitchell and honestly most of Sacramento State, because they all ended up going for a full buy. Now you're seeing they're going to go for a very light buy, and this economy, as they win 2 rounds in a row, is being built up very nicely for Montclair. It's a bit more difficult to be running the op on attack, mostly because you don't have those angles set up already, but so far Flumies has done a great job of being able to be on the flank or just finding picks mid early on.
Yeah, definitely down mid. That's what we've seen quite a few times. We're seeing that op come out time and time again, finding those eliminations early on. I don't know who that was. I think that was Brimstone with the candy cane knife. You'd love to see it. I think that's hilarious. And Astru now playing in the smoke cloud. Looks like they're going to be hugging a little bit toward mid as well. We see the spike now being brought out by this Killjoy Riggs. It seems to always have the spike. I don't know if that's just something the team has decided, constantly give it to our Killjoy, but time and time again, that's exactly what we're seeing. Astru finds Riggs, Iris finds Mitchell, and Astru desperately trying to get out of there. They know the Jet is not far behind. and immediately Riggs taken out, but Flumy's able to pick up the spikes. Full dominance Rex picking up their first kill for the first time in a long time, and now we see it's going to be a 4v3 once again. The Brimstone ultimately going to come through and find Iris in the chaos, but Divine able to pick up Oni off the back of it. Our attackers once again have the advantage, even if by a single character. They are up by one nonetheless. We see Jet currently holding the spike. Flumy's looking for the plant, and the chaos has to come through right now. Omi in the back line. It looks like we are going to be able to see right now Hayes is nowhere near the fight. It looks like they're going for that long run in the back line.
Yeah, and if you're Omi, I mean, you got to try to play heaven. Again, I love split pushes, especially when you're down in numbers. If you can be enough a distraction, maybe find a killer to then have someone rotate behind them, it's a great play. You see, though, right now Hayes is taking a very long time, and now looks like they're taking a similar angle. It takes too long. You lose Omi. Now all you got is Hayes. You might have a Vandal. You might be able to take out the Operator, but I don't think this is winnable unless you can have some really late game heroics.
Yeah, I don't think it's winnable by any means, but they took out the Operator, and that's kind of huge because now they have to buy another one if they want to continue using it.
The Sova picked it up.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. The Sova was smart enough to grab it. They make me eat my words right on stream. Couldn't have been a better play from the Sova. He lives just long enough to grab that op, and they just saved a lot of credits for Montclair as a whole.
And one thing to note is Mitchell again has bought the Operator, so while Flumy's has had it for the last, I believe, 3 rounds now, after picking it up a while ago, now there's going to be even firepower coming out on the side of Sacramento State too. So it's going to be interesting to see if they try to go for that sniper duel mid. Up there it is, and Mitchell has already been declared the victor.
I was going to say, hardly a duel when Mitchell doesn't miss the first shot. Definitely going to dismiss Flumy's right away in the op. Once again, send down the drain. A phenomenal shot coming through, but now it's going to be that 4v4. Only taken offline. No resurrection coming through today. But Astro able to pick up Divine right off the back of it. A 3v4 in favor of our defenders. Sacramento now getting hyper-aggressive. And the ultimates, both ultimates from Killjoys actually coming out here. Oni able to find full dominance wrecked in the chaos. It's going to be a 4v2. Our defenders finally coming back to life. And we said it earlier, this game all about momentum. And Sacramento finally getting momentum back in their favor. Riggs going to plant the spike, probably just for the free credit. Able to find one, make it 2 eliminations. Oh, Riggs desperately trying to keep that fight alive, but unable to do so. A phenomenal look so far, and our defenders, I'm in quite a few rounds, able to turn things back in their favor.
And you saw there, again, how lockdowns were used differently. So once Riggs took over the plane, was trying to go for the spike plant, that's immediately when they used their lockdown. On the other side, Hayes used it as a retake. They used them basically at the same time, only a few seconds separating them there. But the biggest thing there is they commit a person to break Hayes' lockdown, and they do break it, but they immediately lose the person who breaks it. So it's not a great trade, a person versus utility, and that puts Montclair in a very bad position where it's a 1v4, 1v5. I can't remember how many people are alive at the very end there, but they make that decision. The lockdown on the other side does not get anything. They find no one out, and just a great defensive play there for a retake for Sacramento State to take one back after losing a few in a row.
Yep, and I'm absolutely just waiting in anticipation as Mitchell's staring down mid with that op, and we see Flumy has it once again. Full Dominus Rex is going to take out Oni right at the beginning of the fight. They know Mitchell's there. Divine able to take out that Operator once again. Phenomenal shot coming through, and our attackers coming back to life in full swing. Divine in particular already picking up a double kill, looking to make it a triple, but the Hellfire rains from above, and no, instead finds Hayes with the pistol headshot. That's going to be a triple kill pick up already, and somehow survives the entire thing in critical condition there. But another flawless round coming out from Montclair. Sacramento, they're really starting to lose their grip on reality.
Yeah, they're losing this grip on the game at the very least. Reality, I hope not. That'd be a big shame. You gotta keep your head in the game. Don't want to lose track of what you're trying to do. And now again, the economy not very great for Sacramento State, and Flumy still has his Operator. So even though they lost the duel, they still get to keep it. They haven't had to buy. And it's just Montclair is looking so much better than they did on Split. They had a good start, and instead of kind of dropping the ball along the way, they just continued to keep rolling.
Yeah, we talked about it 100 times over. I'm a broken record at this point, but this game all about the momentum shift and the intensity that we can see off the back of it. Divine now with 14 eliminations on board, the most by 4, it seems. Next in line is Flumy's with 10 of their own. So Montclair definitely up in the eliminations department, as the winning team often is. Iris able to take Mitchell out with an immediate headshot. Looks they weren't able to get an op this time around, and the pressure now coming out even stronger from Montclair as they get to push in that 5v4. They're going to move toward A, and it looks like almost all of Sacramento is currently hovering around B.
And one question I had asked a bit earlier, after the first map ended, was, if Divine is doing well, it doesn't matter if they're also dying a lot. Here we've seen Divine die a lot less, but now it's a 3v3, it's a 4v3 with the Resurrection, and there's a lot of guns now that have been given over to the defenders.
Yeah, and we just saw a fight flip so incredibly quickly that Montclair had the lead there, and then all of a sudden Sacramento, they get that resurrection off, they turn things around, they find an elimination. The only player they've lost now is Mitchell. So now they're pushing into a 4v3. The spike has already been planted, and everybody's going to be hovering around A as they know that spike is somewhere. The eliminations are going to have to come through right here, right now. Iris knows somebody's in heaven. Now they're going to have to find the elimination. That's going to be one from Iris. That's going to be two from Iris. Omi going to be able to find the third elimination onto Iris, but Riggs going to pick up Omi right off the back of it. Looks like things may already be too late for the defenders and the attackers, able to secure that victory in another round.
I mean, the good news for Sacramento State, too, is they did get a few kills there in what was essentially a thrifty round that you really could not buy. So the fact that they were able to pick up some guns along the way and get some economy out from Montclair, forcing them to buy a bit more is good. But there is an opportunity for them to win that. It kind of all fell apart when they took the same angle. They all tried to come from heaven for the most part. I think they had their it was their Killjoy on the side, so Pace was trying to take a different angle, but they had the worst gun. All they had was the classic, so they weren't going to be able to do much there. And one thing I love is that for Montclair, they had their Sova all the way back near the choke, so if they hear that defuse, they just go for the Hunter's Fury, and they just wipe that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I want to point out straight away, Sacramento, notably less credit and notably less econ than Montclair right now. It's a huge differential between those two teams in terms of what they have to offer in these upcoming rounds. We are getting a little bit close to halftime, so they are going to have to swap out relatively soon, and then everybody's econ gets reset. But right now, I mean, Montclair could pretty much buy whatever they wanted, especially compared to the not even 3,000 credits that Sacramento has as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is that they did get some utility early on in this round. I mean, they use M-Force, it doesn't really find much. They try to get onto the point, but the stage slower basically kills that in its tracks. And now we're seeing Montclair play a bit differently. They haven't been this slow in a very long time. They still have some ultimates to burn, like that Hunter's Fury as well as the Omen teleport. So I'd love to see them try to do a bait with the teleport. Right now, it looks like they're just going to go for mid control instead.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see that orbital strike coming through from above, of course, and it looks like it's not going to be able to find any eliminations off the back of it. Run it back now, being activated by Mitchell as well. They're going to run and get a lot of recon. They know exactly where everybody is with the pressure coming out. Divine finds Mitchell, Oni finds Divine. So it's going to be that one-to-one trade once again. Bloomy's looking for that op shot. Somebody knows that they're there with the Brimstone, trying to put the pressure on, but it's going to be Astru instead. Oni able to find Riggs, and Skull Dominance wrecked, and it looks like Iris able to pick up a double kill off the back of it. A 1v2, Iris putting the pressure on. It looks like they are not able to get to the spike quite yet. There's only 13 seconds left. This is looking all but impossible for the attacking.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, at this point, they're just going to go for the save. They don't want to give up any more eco. I don't think that's a bad play. You're still up quite a few rounds. You're still going to have a lead no matter what. At worst, it's going to be 7-5 before halftime. So good play there by Iris to be a bit more disciplined. I don't know exactly where that fell apart. I think they just stood in mid too long for Montclair. You saw that Flumi tried to take a very aggressive angle, looking more towards where A and B meet in the back, towards the defender spawn side. The problem is that Market is literally right behind you. There are people that can come up from B and just shoot you right in the back. That's what happened. Now that operator is going to be online again, but it's going to make them broke, and we're going to see that duel once more. I would love if we could possibly see that duel off the get-go in mid.
Yeah, both players immediately taken out. Flumies and Mitchell going to go toe-to-toe in the op. I mean, just keep an eye on the kill feed because one of them is taking out the other. There was 100% chance of that chaos happening. Montclair and Sacramento going toe-to-toe. And I mean, Flumies and Mitchell, they have just been bloodthirsty for one another since the very start, since these ops started coming out. These players, but it looks like they're both playing it slow as the kill feed. This is probably the longest it's been, and we haven't seen an elimination come through between these two teams. Also, it looks like Hayes, I mean, their ping is up over 100 right now, so that might explain the sudden change in playstyle coming out from Sacramento. They may be having a couple of internet issues on the side of their team. Astro now looking for an elimination. Divine pushing in as well. The pressure coming out once again. Sage going to have to commit that early on, kind of commit that ice field. Divine has absolutely no idea that somebody's right behind and did not check their corners. And it's going to be Astro finding Divine in the chaos of things. An immediate 4v5 in favor of our defenders. Left side Sacramento here, definitely doing their best to put the pressure on Mitchell. Still busting out that op, trying to find one kill, not able to find it yet. Riggs planting the spike and the recon bolt put into the Phoenix. The pressure coming out as far as it can. They're putting the pressure on, but it's just simply not going to be enough. A 5v4 in favor of our defenders, and we see it's not going to matter yet. The spike planted, everybody playing that high ground. The turrets coming out from both killjoys, and there's a lot of slow burn here. The ops still online from both these folks. The resurrection obviously not coming through quite yet as nobody's fallen. Flumies has 11 eliminations, only able to find Riggs in hell there. The spike has been planted and time is running out.
Yeah, and Nico from the Fury, it just does not work. Astro gets 3, and the reason we didn't have that duel in mid was because instead of going for an approach there, Mitchell actually just stood on A for most of that round in heaven. So that's why we didn't have those insta-kills, and it worked out because they controlled that high ground. They forced a lot of angles out of Montclair. They had to be hiding for most of that. And then we talked about how the Hunter's Fury, it's great as a recontest when you know the spike's being diffused, but there was only one person alive, and that's pretty much the green light to just run into that Sova because they're going to be stuck in that animation unless they can cancel it quickly. But that was the side swap. It's going to be a slight lead for Montclair, 7-5. So regardless of how this game ends, they're doing a lot better than we saw them.
You know, I can definitely not agree more. I mean, they've got more than 3 points this time. So you can do math. You know, you can definitely notice that they are playing a little bit better this time around. So that is definitely good for them moving forward. Now, this is something that I'm really going to be a little bit confused about because there's no ciphers online this time. We're seeing Killjoy versus Killjoy, which you've talked about all day. Is kind of, you'd expect to see Killjoy coming out a little more consistently than Cypher. But now Hayes just, I feel, has not been living up to that expectation they created for themselves that first game around. We've seen a much sloppier play style, and sure, with 151 ping, I'm sure I'd be playing the same way. But right now, the energy just not coming out in this Killjoy v Killjoy matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Cypher and Killjoy are so differently, and I think Killjoy's more versatile. Cypher is definitely a bit stronger on defense in general, so it really comes down to using your abilities, your turret specifically, something that really needs to come out, or really need to be well placed, just for information, not even necessarily for damage. And right now, it looks like the damage is going the other way, as even though the spike is planted, it was Montclair that got the first kill.
Yeah, Montclair, like you said, finds that first kill. We see Sage standing on the wall. Like I said, always gives me a bit of a laugh. Omi trying to find an elimination off the back of it, but the Omen going to be pushing in. Headshot comes from Omi onto Iris. Divine able to find Omi off the back of it. Riggs on the high ground there in heaven takes Astro out of the fight in the defenders. It's going to be a 3v2. Mitchell on the low ground in hell able to find a double kill. It's now going to be a Killjoy and Killjoy versus Reyna and Killjoy. So the mix is going to be a little bit chaos here. They're going to go for the spike defusal. They know she's over there. They aren't able to find her quite yet, and Divine going to clean up that final elimination. Montclair, if they can keep playing like this, things are looking phenomenal. It's really looking like we're going to go to a game 3 if they can keep up the momentum they have so far.
Yeah, it's possible. And you saw Hayes there, a bit of a missed time with that first nano storm, tried to put the second one over the top, but they saw it land, so that neither of them finding the value they got. And again, we talk about this ping issue. It could be something that's like insurmountable at this point. We keep seeing it. I'm watching it. It's going from about 80 to 100 at a moment's notice, and that can really mess you up as a player. Now up to 136, 240. Oh my goodness. So it's very unfortunate.
It's bouncing.
Yeah, they're going to have to try to play through it, but you know, stuff like that can lead to so much missed time events because just a few milliseconds, that's the difference between life or death. And right now for Montclair, after winning that round, they're going to be buying a bunch of SMGs.
Absolutely, the SMGs coming through. Personally, my favorite weapon class in the game. I don't know, it's just something about them that I really enjoy using. And right now, Sacramento and Montclair going toe-to-toe. As always, Montclair coming out stronger than ever this game around. They ended up only scoring 3 points in our first map. It looks like the second one, they are currently in the lead by 3. That looks like they may be able to take this whole thing if they can keep the momentum they have. Oni about to go toe-to-toe with his Omen. Had no idea he was around the corner, and patience is key. Oni waited, didn't just empty their clip. They made sure they could land their shots. That's exactly what they did. Bloomy's going to find Oni immediately off the back of it, and Mitchell trying to find a kill on a Swole Dominus Rex, but Divine going to be right around the corner with that SMG. Astro able to take out Divine. It's going to be a 2v1. And we just saw something just like this. A Reyna and a Killjoy versus a Killjoy, but last time it was flipped around a little bit. Now Sacramento able to plant the spike once again. Looks like they may be able to secure a victory unless Riggs can really overcome some difficulties here.
Riggs has full armor. Riggs has the superior firepower with the Spectre, but now their position is completely given away, so they're going to have to try to hook right, hopefully find 1 or 2 kills. You see both these players taking the same road. The Lear coming out, and that's going to be all that's written. Astro popping off for 3 kills in that round. I would have loved to have seen a different attempt there from Ricardo to see them, you know, destroy the turret and then immediately go towards door, if possible. Hopefully it wasn't up. I don't know if it was broken or not, but they knew you were there, and they're going to be holding that angle all day until they know anything else otherwise. So it's just telegraphed, and that's going to be another round going back to Sacramento State.
Yeah, I feel like telegraphed was actually a really good word for that. There was one way for you to go. The team, they were waiting for it. That's all they needed to see. It was just simple as that. The chaos comes through, and they kind of expected just that to happen. Of course, that's what happened. It was scripted. It was, it was just really prompted for that exact thing to happen. We come through. It's now going to be 8-6, still in favor of Montclair. Sacramento not doing as well on the attack as we may have expected. We see the spray coming out from Oni, or excuse me, from Divine, but Oni able to find the chaos in the mix-up of it. Iris taking out Astro. Going to be 4v4 critical condition. Flumy's just barely able to make it out of the skin of their their teeth. They're going to be pushing into B as quickly as possible. Omi finds Flumies. Iris able to pick up Omi, and Hayes finds Iris. It's going to be that trade back to back to back. Spike Carrier killed, but Oni was there to pick it up right away. Mitchell finds full dominance wrecked, and it looks like our attackers, they are nothing but relentless as always. The attack coming through, and just when we thought we may have the possibility of a map 3, Sacramento coming back. This is like the Sacramento we saw in Split just moments ago.
Riggs, use your turret, please. Just get a little bit of information. Not gonna use it just yet. There's the self-heal from Mitchell. So they were weak for a little bit. I was thinking they might use the run it back just to get some extra health, but instead they commit. I believe it was their hot hands. That was very winnable, honestly, for Riggs. I think if they'd used their turret right away, they might have actually been able to take out Oni very early on in that engagement, just because Oni was so weak and that turret does do a good amount of damage. But instead, they hold on to it. They give enough time for Mitchell to reset, and now it looks like we're going towards another tie situation.
Yeah, no, we definitely are going to be pushing into that tie from Sacramento. And now that we've swapped on the halftime, we've seen Sacramento really do a great job. They're definitely winning more consistent rounds. They're able to secure those last two. In the first round from Montclair, they were able to defuse in time. They were able to secure that round win. But after that, it's been nothing but Sacramento all over the leaderboard, all over the kill feed. And right now, I mean, it is great. Divine from Montclair, still the most eliminations in game, but currently not the most, actually, excuse me, no, not the most deaths. So never mind, scratch that point I was going to make there. Definitely still up there in terms of deaths on board, but not currently in the lead with that. A minute 13 left for some magic to happen, and everybody playing it crazy slow. When you're this close to a tie, Montclair, they have to wait for Sacramento to come to them. They can't be pushing into these fights blind, or they're going to consistently start losing them. Riggs about to be pushed into by a 2v1 team. Oni able to find the headshot. Flumies takes out Omi, but Oni takes out Flumies. So it's going to be Omi and Oni going toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder there. One of them gets taken out, and the revenge kill comes from the other. The spike coming through, just maybe looking for those credits. The door is closed. Mitchell finds full dominance. Divine able to take out Astru. It's going to be a 2v3. Sacramento possibly able to come out on top of this. Once again, they can at least tie things up here.
Divine used the Empress here, so unless there's some big clicks coming out, it's going to be an ultimate they're going to want back. There's going to be one headshot, though, and a little bit of healing back. The turret is up. They know there's one back, but do they know that there's a Brimstone to their right? No, they don't, and Oni leading their team to victory so far, going to tie things up. And we touched upon this very briefly at the beginning, but you don't usually expect your Brimstone to be your top fragger. It's usually a duelist.
Right now.
Yeah. Just doing so well.
I mean, Oni is just not missing a headshot. It has been nothing but flawless so far. The patience coming out, and that's something we saw for a very brief moment in a pistol duel earlier, is Oni wasn't just emptying clip into an enemy when they saw them. They were only firing when they knew they were going to land the shot. That is great game sense. That is great communication with your team, and that's just great discipline as a player. A phenomenal job coming out so far from Oni. Like you said, top fragger. Oh, second most eliminations in game. Only second to Divine. Divine currently sitting at 21, Oni sitting at 17. So it's definitely, we see the top fraggers working out, and of course, when it's tied, you really can't expect them to get much closer. Now, especially, like you said, Brimstone should not be your top fragger, so for them to have 17 eliminations is just absolutely incredible. Now we're going to be pushing in a minute 17 left for the magic to happen, and all 5 of the attackers from Sacramento getting ready. It looks like they were going to push into A, but now they're rotating back into that slow burn. Divine in the back line, and I don't think they know that, but they're going to be walking right into her.
Yeah, Divine kind of in no man's land right now in mid. Gonna see one head. Don't know if they're gonna see 3, and now they're just gonna hightail it, able to get out with that speed with their knife out. So gonna live to fight another day. But again, the economy not great for Montclair right now, so this should be a pretty advantageous round right now for Sacramento State. But they're gonna go again to A, and what's good here about the setup, not only getting that first kill, is that they have that orbital strike. So we talked about ultimates you can use after the spike is planted. That is one to make sure that a defuse does not go out.
Yeah, absolutely. Orbital Strike, very famous for making sure a defuse doesn't go out because it takes up usually the entirety of the point you're trying to plant a spike on. Mitchell able to find Iris, and it looks like we are going to see the spike planted once again. Reyna breaking through the door, but Sage, wow, insult to injury, just puts another wall right back up. The door, one wall knocked down, the other one put right back up. Astru able to find full dominance, but Mitchell going to find Divine with the headshot in the back line. A phenomenal shot coming through, and that's going to be cleanup crew once again. A flawless round, and it's great between these two teams. We really have seen a close matchup. Both of these teams have had several flawlesses online, and for what I believe is 2 gold teams, 2 plat teams, they really are showing that they can be neck and neck. The first game, maybe Montclair just simply wasn't warmed up yet.
I mean, we talked about how good Challengers was in the first matchup, so I'm not surprised that this one has gotten a little bit closer in the second. We'll see if Montclair can force a map 3 or if Sacramento State 2 will take it at the very end of the day. They seem to have a bit of an edge, and they also have the ultimates, but finally Montclair, they can buy again. One thing to note is Riggs has to settle for light armor, so that can be the huge difference between life or death if you get into a body shot matchup.
Yeah, like we always say, it could be milliseconds of difference to keep you alive, whether or not you win or lose a matchup. And the armor can create those milliseconds. That armor can maybe just to help you survive a couple of more shots and keep you alive for a little bit longer. So that light armor might not be what they wanted. We now see the attacking Killjoy. That means we are going to see Riggs using that ultimate very early on. Astru able to find full dominance off the back of it. They're going to put the pressure on, pushing to B as efficiently and as quickly as possible. Flumies finds Mitchell in that back line. Astru going for the full rotation around back. We see a D-Tain coming through, and Igris going to have to kiss that play goodbye. It's going to be a 4v2. In Sacramento, things are looking a lot closer here, but they have been nothing but on fire since swapping onto this offense.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, and I think I'm realizing why Montclair wanted to be on attack first. I feel like that's where they feel most comfortable. We've seen their defense has not been nearly as stable, and right now they're going to have to try to play for a retake down a person. They have their own Killjoy ultimate, so they could use a lockdown here, but the fact that Riggs is so weak might stop them from trying that play. Now that Flumies is dead, I really doubt we're going to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Montclair, you've got to wonder, do we put Flumies back on the op? I mean, that's not necessarily a great play. Do we save credits? Do we do a short buy? Do we not buy at all? Do we go for a thrifty? And then do we put Flumies back on the op? Because that's when Montclair had that's when they were closest to winning something, is when Flumies was just absolutely fragging with that operator.
Yeah, and you've seen Flumies also just not be able to do much since they haven't had the operator. Now they're at 14 and 13, so getting pretty close to a KDA, not going in the right direction. You got a good point. Like, do you save up for the operator? The problem is that I think they're so deep into that hole right now that they really can't. You see Flumies kind of messing around with which sidearm they're going to go with. It looks like they've decided to go with the Sheriff, so that's going to be the most expensive one in that class. But the fact that they've lost a few rounds in a row now, they might be able to buy the operator next time around, but will they have enough for armor if they can even commit to that? I mean, it's getting do or die here. There's only 3 rounds left for Sacramento State before they win this match.
Yep, and here comes the Killjoy ultimate now coming out from Hayes, trying to cover the point. It's a tiny orbital strike coming in as well, and it looks like it's not going to be able to find anything quite yet. No eliminations coming through, but it's going to give them just enough time to plant this spike. Hayes able to take out Divine, even while they're rocking that 125 ping, able to find that elimination in the midst of things. And the Sage Wall going up again, that seems to be kind of a standard, putting the Sage Wall up in front of the door and just trying to create a little bit more defense. Right now, Astru able to pick up Iris, and once again, looks like Montclair, they are going to get picked apart piece by piece. Riggs finds Astru with the pistol, and Montclair, they've got to change something up because they have now lost 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any prettier than that for the most part than it was from Sacramento State 2. We've seen the orbital strike be used like this a few times. I was talking about how it can be used just to stop the defuse, but there they just use it to knock down completely. We saw that a lot in our first game that happened a lot earlier today. There, we saw it once again. Orbital strike seems to be much more useful for breaking objectives and contesting objectives than actually getting kills. And, you know, if you're going to win that way, why not? Now, Sacramento State 2, only 2 rounds away. Montclair, they put up one heck of a fight, but can they put up any more now? I think they heard us that because Flumies is going to be going to that operator.
Yeah, you know, that kind of seems like their do or die, their high risk, high reward option. And Flumies immediately taking out Astru, living up to that name of the Operator Beast we are so familiar with today. Able to find insane eliminations with the Operator. That is a gun that I have truly never been able to understand myself. But great shots now coming through. High pressure, high damage from Flumies. They're going to have to pressure out even more, though, because we've seen them in this scenario. They have been in this 5v4 time and time again, and they still end up losing these. And with Omi rezzing Astru, that shot now down the drain. They're going to have to push into a 5v5. We're going to have to see Flumies do it again because they are running out of time. And
you saw Riggs there use both, actually, not Riggs. It was, I believe, my players confused. No, that was Riggs. Riggs used both of the Nano Storms very early on. So those are out of the play. And I was going to say Mitchell did a great job baiting them, but now Mitchell's just going to bait themselves into giving up their life with the cause. So it was 5v4, then it was 5v5, and now 5v4 is what it is again.
Yeah, the only thing Mitchell was able to bait there was a bullet straight to the brain coming out from Flumies once again. That vengeance from the first round, able to come back and rear its head just a little bit more. Now the pressure is going to be out because now it's a 4v5. There's no Sage Resurrection online. We see Omi is carrying that spike. Are they going to be able to plant it? 30 seconds left on the clock. The pressure has to come out. It's now or never. We're going to see some ultimates commit. Empress is going to be commit into this fight as well. Hopefully they're able to find some value off the back of it. Divine able to pick up Omi. And it looks like they're not going to be able to find Divine quite yet, but Omi hitting that vengeance. Kill for only once again. We're going to see Wraith pick, or excuse me, we're going to see Omen push in a little bit further, take out Astro, but Omi able to find Iris. Flumies with the off, has to put the pressure down, but here it's going to be, oh, Flumies through the boxes. Yeah, there it is. There's the frag we've been waiting for. Absolutely living up to the name of that operator, a beast we have been so unbelievably familiar with.
Yeah, and I'm going to correct myself. It was, in fact, Hayes, so I've got to correct myself like 10 times. It was Hayes that was on the Killjoy on defense, so use those Nano Swarms a bit earlier, and it makes more sense now because we know about some of the issues they're having with their ping spike, so...
Down to 60 right now, though.
Yeah, down to 60, so we'll see if it stays there, but yeah, Flumies comes in. Now, they're looking
dominant.
dominant.
Technically.
Yeah, that was a quad kill. Almost gets the ace, so very good job there by Flumies. That's going to help bring them back a little bit longer, and I mean they've got to trade up. They can't just keep going round for round. They have to win the next 2 or 3 in a row to be on even footing, and maybe we're headed towards overtime.
Yeah, we really may be getting danger close to overtime here. If we see Montclair able to win maybe 2 more, it's really going to put that pressure on and be that 12 versus that 11. That's going to force us into some kind of OT, assuming Sacramento wins at least 1 more here within the next 4 rounds. And we've seen them win, 11 rounds up to this point. They very clearly are able to do that victory lap kind of toward the end of things.
Well, victory lap has to wait for a little bit. You don't want to bring out the parade before it's too early. Still very winnable for either team right now. It seems a bit back and forth now that Montclair's able to get that one back. It's in a much better position for them. And you look at the guns, and they're still pretty even. The economy that's built up by Sacramento State is pretty good for them, so they can win a few, or they can lose another round or 2 and then still be okay, but you don't want to give them enough breathing room to really get back into this game. I mean, you got to take out Flumies, right? That has to be priority numero uno.
Absolutely. Yeah, numero uno indeed. Flumies has to be the first to go, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do so quite yet. It's going to be a 3v3. Going to have 32 seconds left on the clock for a spike plant to come through. It looks like they're going to have Omi carrying the spike once again. Flumies still has that operator online. You've got to get rid of her because that jet is terrifying. Flumies hardly missing a shot, and right now we see the spike plant coming through. It's going to be able to finally be planted. Now we're going to see the Sage Wall coming up, a fantastic wall. Now they're going to have to give themselves away if they want to come through. They get rid of it. Omi able to take out Divine. It's going to be a 2v3, and this could be our match point set here. We see that it's going to be we're going to see them flying up. The Knife Storm coming out as well. Flumies getting desperate, and wow, a headshot from Hayes, able to send them down the drain there. That's going to be an immediate matchup win for Sacramento. They are now on game point of winning not only this game, but winning the entire thing 2-0 against Montclair.
Yeah, the Blade Stormer comes out, and I think that's a bit of a misplay. I think you got to save that for a round like this one where you really can't buy. I mean, you can buy, but that'd be better given to one of your teammates who can't, and then you can just use the Blade Storm as your gun, hopefully pick up one if you get a kill, but they are just a bit aggressive. They tried going for a split push. They broke down the door, but then immediately lost the person that was there. So then they knew the rest of the team was probably going to be coming from heaven, and you saw the angles that were being covered there by Sacramento State too. They just did not give them up for a second. They knew exactly where the enemy was going to be coming from, and now they are on not only game point, but series point.
Yeah, series point. It's going to be now or never, and it looks like if it's not broke, don't fix it. They give the spike to Omi once again, and they've really been able to find some value off the back of this. Hayes going to plant that ultimate, try to stick anybody if they're able to do so, because even one ultimate here, or excuse me, one elimination here could be nothing but huge for this team. They're going to have to push through a smoke cloud here, try to push forward and try to find that elimination. Oni going to be able to take out Flumies, which could spell disaster for Montclair. That has been their fragger all day, except for Divine, who really has not been living up to the name this time around. Riggs, however, able to pick up a double kill in the midst of things, able to find both Hayes and Oni. So it's going to be a 3v4 in favor of Montclair. Are they going to be able to secure this and turn things around? It's really looking like they might. Swole Dominus wrecked, even able to find Omi through the wall with the shot. Mitchell able to take out wrecked, and Riggs gone as well. It's going to be Divine able to find Astro. Mitchell versus Divine, the 1v1 now. It's going to be the 1v1 now or never. Is Mitchell with the run it back going to be able to secure a victory here for the team? The pressure's out around the left side of the boxes. They're going to be juggling around this. It's going to be now or never. Mitchell now looking to find that clutch factor. Not able to do so quite yet. The run it back going to send him back around the corner, and the defuse going to be successful. It's down but not out. Overtime very much still on the table.
Yeah, Mitchell finds 3, but that's just at that point a kill that isn't going to mean too much. I don't know if they were able to pick up the operator. I think that's what they were going for. Don't think they found it at the very end. So that's a gun they're also not going to get back. So a bit of a misplay there from Sacramento State too. Just a great play by Riggs to be able to get those 2 kills to open things up. I would have loved to see the Omen teleport come out from Iris. Just try to get some information in Boathouse. They save it for another day, but I mean, you can cancel it. You can see who's around you, see what's going on point, and then immediately back out. So if you're not going to use it now, when are you? Because if you don't use it soon, you might not get the chance to.
Yeah, you say, save it for another day, but today's your final day. You're on game point. You're out of time. You definitely want to use it as quickly as you can. And now it's really going to come down to who draws that first blood in this round is really going to help us kind of understand who's got a better chance of winning this. And of course, just because you find first blood does not guarantee a round win, but definitely things going to look a little bit sloppier, maybe not be as good if your team has to push into a 4v5 consistently. We see it coming out quickly. It's going to be an Omi and Oni versus, I think that was their Killjoy. Oni able to find Riggs right away. This is really looking better and better for Sacramento. They might be able to put Montclair in the grave here. Omi able to find Soul Dominus wrecked as well. We're gonna have to see some serious frag potential coming out from Montclair, but this is all but over, especially with the spike being planted already. I'm not sure if there are any ultimates online other than that teleport from Iris, and it looks like they are gonna choose not to use it. Instead, it looks like they're going to be in this matchup with Omi. Omi does not miss a headshot. A dangerous play if I've ever seen one. Floomies finds Omi, but Astro on the high ground takes out not one, but two, and secures that victory for Sacramento. We are not going to map 3 here tonight, folks. Sacramento able to secure a double victory here against Montclair, who came to life in that second match, but unfortunately just was not able to reach where they needed to tonight.
It was a great effort by Montclair. They were able to bring it back pretty close. It was much closer. I mean, they won 7 more rounds than they did on that first map of Split, 10-13. Definitely not a bad score to go down to, but unfortunately for them, they're not able to force the tiebreaker map. There was plays there that could have been made. I think Iris had actually used a teleport a bit earlier in the round, so they didn't have that for later. And at that point, I'm not sure how much use it would have been unless they just tried to get in and out. We saw that the Divine, who is the top fragger, once again, did have the Empress, but they were looking at the same angle. They didn't realize the flag was going to be coming there, and Floomies and Divine, who both had great games despite a losing effort, just weren't able to get the job done when it was needed most. But still, I mean, this map was about twice as long as the last one, so improvement is improvement, and Montclair looked a lot better over the course of this series.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. Improvement is improvement, and hey, it's only week 1. There is plenty of time to find that vengeance kill later on. But with that, folks, week 1, day 1, of Season 0 here at NECC is finally going to come to a close. If you're hanging out on the East Coast with us, it is now coming up a little bit past 12:30 for you, so I'm sure you guys are ready to get to sleep just as much as Jag and myself are. So thank you so much for joining us here, everybody, today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to cast here for NECC, and we'll probably see you next week. But for the time being, this will be Septilence and Jag signing off. Have a good night.